Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today, I am rebroadcasting an episode from season 1 of the podcast. I think this one is great timing. I know it's the middle of summer. Right now, the team and I are just like knee deep in reveals. We've got 5 reveals over 5 weeks. Don't even ask me how that happened. Maybe I'll share when they're all over. And I just thought it's a great summer podcast because it's about personal development and building your confidence. And I think the message is really important to hear, that confidence is not something necessarily that you're born with. It is something that you can learn. And I just think this is a really great one. So I hope you're enjoying your summer. Enjoy this episode. Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today's episode is about confidence and how confidence is not a trait. It's something that is learned. And I share with you in depth, my experience starting out in this industry as an interior designer and as someone who is trying to start my own business, and how I lacked so much confidence. I'm going to share with you the tips and the tools that I use and that I've learned and I'm still learning from all kinds of places to help build that confidence and to keep me growing. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's a very personal one. All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business. I'm going to start this episode off with a quote by Mel Robbins. And the quote is about confidence. And here's what she says. Confidence is the ability to hear your ideas and just trust in them. It's the skill of believing in and listening to yourself. Confidence is not a trait, it's a skill, and one that must be built. Many people believe that if you're extroverted, you're more confident, and that's not true. You're just more vocal. That has nothing to do with the skill of confidence. You may talk all the time as an extrovert and be very insecure in yourself. You might speak but not have the confidence to speak the truth or say what you really mean. As an introvert, you might sit quietly and have confidence in your ideas, but not the courage to speak out for fear of judgment because your cheeks turn red. Confidence is a skill, one that's built through repeated acts of everyday courage, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. As you build the skill of confidence, it becomes a habit. It becomes an empowering habit that replaces current habits of self-doubt. That's from Mel Robbins. And if anyone doesn't know who she is, please Google her. She is the master of building your confidence, valuing your self-worth, and taking action to change your life. I love her teachings. When I'm feeling like I'm a little low and I need a bit of inspiration, I will find a podcast, a YouTube video with her. She's famous for her TED Talk on the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule. So I'm not going to talk too much more. This podcast is not about her, but I recently heard a YouTube video with her. It was about confidence. And lately I've been thinking a lot about this idea of confidence and how do you build confidence in your business? And how do you specifically get clients to trust you? How do you, how do you get clients to listen to your way of doing things and follow along? Because I think for so many years, for myself anyways, I did not have confidence in my ability. I did not have confidence in my process or my lack thereof. And so I really wouldn't go to a client and say, leave this with me. I'm going to pull all the details together and we'll have a presentation. I would have a client say, well, I really would like to go and I wouldn't mind just checking out the tile. So I would say, oh, okay, well, sure, let's do that. Let's pick a time and I'll meet you and we'll pick the tile. And I would be veering from the process that I really wanted because I didn't have confidence. And what I think is so encouraging for so many of you out there that are like I was, or probably I am still a little, and you feel like you lack the confidence to not implement, but you know what I mean, right? To stand up to your client and say, no, this is the way we do things. You tend to let the client run the show a little bit, even though you might tell yourself, no, I like to collaborate. The reality is the client's probably running the show a little. But as someone who's constantly battled with self-confidence, I have found that when I start to over and over repeat the same phrases to clients, whether it's in a discovery call script or if it's in my contract, reading my contract verbatim at a consultation, the more I repeat that information that kind of backs me up, that information that is the process I want to follow, the more confident I feel in that information. Does that make sense? It's like the more you're exposed to something, the more you do something, the more confident you become. And it's a skill. Just like Mel Robbins says, confidence is a skill and one that's built through repeated acts of everyday courage. I will tell you that is true. The repeated acts of everyday courage were me going to a consultation and insisting as soon as I arrived that they give me the check, or telling someone prior to a consultation that we require payment in full prior to the consultation. The first few times that I said that to a client, oh my God, the butterflies in my stomach, I can't even tell you. It did not come naturally to me. I am extroverted to a point, but I am not one of those vocal people who just says it like it is and says, you got to trust me. This is the way it goes. You know, I always admire people, especially designers, who are so bold in their choices and they're so confident that they have the right decision that they just say to clients, no, that's wrong. This is why I think you need to do this. You got to do this. I've never been that confident designer. I've always said, okay, well, yeah, I can see your point of view. Yep, no, that's interesting. Let me look into that, or let me think about that. I mean, I really like this idea, but you could go that way too. And I've always been too amenable, I guess you could say, or trying to have the clients like me. But really, that's what I thought I was doing. But the reality was I wasn't confident. I wasn't confident in my skill. I wasn't confident in my process. I wasn't confident that I could deliver or that they should trust me. And so if I didn't trust myself, how was I ever going to get a client to trust me? If there's anything you take away from this podcast, I really, really, truly hope it's about building your confidence, because all of the tips and the tricks and the interviews that I have had so far on this podcast are ways to help you succeed in business. And all of these tips and tricks, TikTok, all of these tips and tricks, all of this business advice, all of this motivation is really to give you the confidence that you have the tools you need to do the job right. And if you have the tools you need, whether they're physical or metaphorical, that will give you that confidence. If you have the script of what you should say to your client in a discovery call and you read it out loud multiple times, you use it every time you have a discovery call, by the time you've done it a handful of times, you'll have almost memorized that script and you won't in the future ever do a discovery call without being equipped with that information, without being equipped with those questions. And so you will have confidence in those questions, confidence in your ability to tell your clients, I've been in the industry for over a decade. I used to never say that, but I put it into my script. And so I started always saying it. And it built up our firm in the eyes of potential clients. I just want to say that if you're pushing past your comfort zone already a lot in like the everyday, and you feel like, especially if you're an introvert and you're, a very empathetic person and you struggle with confidence, let me just say that you're not alone. It's not something that just comes with the territory of being extroverted. A lot of extroverts are quite insecure and they fake confidence. Let's talk about that for a second. The idea behind faked confidence. Like there's that expression, fake it till you make it, right? So I'm taking a sip of my tea. My throat's sore. No, I don't have COVID, but my throat is sore. Fake it till you make it. I've always really have been on the fence with that. Some people say, I hate that expression. That's so ridiculous. You want to be genuine. You don't want to fake something. You need to learn and know before you do it. But then other people say, faking it is giving yourself that fake sense of confidence. Like if you go into the room and you show up and say, I'm an interior designer, even though you don't even feel equipped to say that, eventually it'll become true. So I don't have a strong feeling for or against that statement the way other people in our industry perhaps do. But what I like about that statement is the idea that I think if you put yourself out there, and I think maybe fake is the wrong word to use, I would say keep trying until you've got it would be my sort of, it's so not as catchy. But if you keep trying and you keep reading that script, or you keep telling your client, hey, we're booking consultations 2 weeks out. Can I just tell you, that has been such a struggle for me. I'm the type of person who's like, okay, let's see. Oh, I can fit you in on Thursday. And it's like Monday. But I've realized that doesn't look professional. If I'm not available and I can meet with a client within a matter of days, within the same week, I mean, I'm clearly not that busy, which means I mustn't be that good. But I just have this need to please. So what I think is that if you can try it, meaning say to the client, start with an email. Sometimes I find it's easier, I put it in an email or I have it in a PDF backup document. That gives me the confidence to say it using my own mouth as opposed to just saying it, because I like having that backup. It gives me a script of what to say. And then, I don't know, it just gives me confidence. So if I say to a client, so now I will say, well, first of all, I don't book my own consultations anymore. Even if I'm in a discovery call, I'll say, that's fantastic. Vera will reach out with some dates and we'll get you set up with a consultation if they've said in the call that they want to do it. But then what I do is I say, we're booking about 2 to 3 weeks out at the moment. And I say it and I hold my breath and I wait to see what they say. And typically they say, okay, that's great. What dates are available? And then that's when I say, okay, Vera will connect with you. But it takes practice. I think doing anything in this business can be overwhelming and challenging when you're starting out. I know that when I first started, I felt as though the industry in Toronto was very snobbish. I would go to events, and even though I knew people, even though I had some air quote connections, I still felt insecure. I felt slightly invisible. I felt completely unimportant, and I felt like a novice and a wannabe and like I was in the wrong place. For years, I would go into a furniture store and want to set up my own account once I'd gone out on my own. And I would say, oh, hi, I'm Rebecca. I was nervous to say to the person at the desk my name and that I had my own design business, because I felt like an imposter. And that was to the trade. Imagine how I felt with clients. Imagine. There's somebody listening to this right now who's like nodding their head saying, oh my God, yes, that's me. You will get past it. The only way to get past it, though, is to keep doing it. So I had to keep going to new vendors and say, hey, I'm Rebecca Hay Designs. I'd like to establish a trade account. And sometimes people were snobby. And sometimes people would say, we'll have to get back to you. But more often than not, people were just like, okay, thanks. Hi, nice to meet you. But I internalized that I wasn't good enough. And the only thing that changed that was just actively going and doing it over and over again. So I guess this episode is kind of like the secret to confidence. It's not a secret, but I love how Mel Robbins puts it. And I think that to me was just a nice reminder that you need to hear your own ideas and trust in them. You need to believe and listen to yourself. Confidence is not something that you're born with. It's not a trait. It is something that is built. It is a skill that is learned over time. Some people are taught it as a child. My goodness, I hope I can teach my children confidence, but I fear that I will probably be the type of parent that I'm familiar with. And I love my parents, but perhaps there was something in my upbringing that made me doubt myself a little bit. So how do I teach my children? I don't know. That's not what this podcast is about, but there's lots of people out there that I can read and learn from. But for those of us who are adults now and we can't change the past and our experiences are who we are, we have to look at ways that we can hack our life to be more confident, because the more confident you are, the more money you'll make, the better you'll feel about yourself and your business. And because this podcast is about running an interior design or a decorating or staging business, your confidence in selling yourself and your abilities is so important. You can't just have a pretty social media feed or a pretty website. That will only get you so far. Yes, you need those things. They are important. But it's a personal relationships business. So if you are going to succeed, you need to make those connections and show the individuals in your life, whether they're trade, whether they're potential clients, whether they're current clients, that you know your shit and you got this. And you're not going to feel it. So instead of faking it, just try it. Just try acting the way you know you want to be. I have this quote in my office. It's up on one of those, those cute felt like lettering boards where you get all the letters and then you can write like a sentence like Merry Christmas or whatever. So I have one. It's of course navy with a white border and white letters in my office. And I got it from a book, and I'm so sorry. I do not remember which book I read or who said it, but it really resonated with me. And it's a reminder every day, and this is what it says. Behave like you're the best in the world at what you do. And no, that's not meant to be like, act like a cocky lunatic. It's meant to be a reminder that if I am the best in the world at what I do, how would I be acting right now? If I'm absolutely the best interior designer in the world, am I sitting feeling sorry for myself in my pajamas still at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning? Probably not. I'm probably out and about, hustling. I probably have a great attitude. If I'm the absolute best business coach in the world, how would I behave right now? I would probably be outside exercising. I would probably be doing things to fill my cup. So behave like you're the best in the world at what you do. Remind yourself about that every single day to up your game. And one day, you will be the best. I know it in my heart. Okay, guys, thanks for that one. If you want to know more about building confidence in your business, the first place that I say you got to start is with your process. And I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but when we did Momentum, it really became clear that without that repeatable process, you're not going to get the momentum you need. You're not going to be able to advertise or market. Like, what are you marketing? What is your business offering? What is your core offering? And I will be 100% transparent. When I switched to the 15-step business of design process, which I realize is not for everyone, but it was for me at the time, it changed my life. It literally changed my life. And that is not an overstatement. All of a sudden, I had structure in an area where I felt chaos. All of a sudden, I had confidence in an area where I felt insecure. All of a sudden, I had a framework. And I took that framework, and over the years, I have tweaked it and modified it and reduced it and made it work for me. And that's why I'm doing this course on process. The course on process will start with my masterclass November 3rd, but the course on process is about you developing your unique process. So it's not taking a process from somebody else, although I will be giving you mine. You're welcome to use it and maybe modify it for yourself. But I think it's important to understand that not every design firm has to run or function the same way. I have my friend Carly, and I'm going to interview her in a couple of weeks for the podcast. She has a very different set process than I do. Her steps are different. But because she has the steps, they work for her. And she has eliminated that chaos. She's able to scale and grow her company while being on maternity leave and not being stressed out. That's the type of thing that I think is missing in a lot of businesses. And that's what's given me confidence. It's been a game changer. Okay, there you have it. Those are my nuggets of wisdom for today. I hope you're all off to a great start today, or end of day, or whatever's happening for you. Please screenshot this podcast, share it into the world. There's other designers out there like you who need a little boost in confidence. They need a little motivation. Please share it into the world, and I'll see you soon.